Stewie has a challenge for me. Can I do a video that's under 5 minutes? Let's find out. Hi everyone, I am Robyn, the copy bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth. We're both a little cold today in Boston, and Stewie has challenged me to do a short video. So let's see if I can. Today we're going to talk about my favorite copywriting tools, at least the ones that I can think about and get out of my mouth in 5 minutes or something like that, perhaps less. Just for the record, I'm not being paid to tell you about any of these products. My own personal opinion, your mileage may vary. The reason why I'm telling you about these products is because you're probably going to need something at least comparable as you go about your freelance copywriting business. Okay, let's get to it. Number one, Zoom. You've heard of Zoom. If you've lived through the pandemic, you've heard of Zoom. I was using Zoom before the pandemic hit, so I was familiar with it and using it and loving it, and then everyone came on board and they improved the product even more. The reason why I like Zoom, I like the price point. I do pay for my particular Zoom account. It's about $15.93 a month or something along those lines, which is, to me, a reasonable cost for what I need. I can have unlimited number of meetings, I believe. I've never reached a limit, if there is a limit. The meetings can go on for as long as they need to. I believe with the free account, you're cut off at like 40 minutes or 45 minutes or something like that. With the paid account, you don't have to worry about that, which is why it's worth investing when you're dealing with a client. So you don't have to be like, oops, we need to start another meeting because this one's about to stop. It can be a little embarrassing. The other reason why I like Zoom, and I'm sure you can do this with comparable products, but I love the record feature. So I record every single conversation that I have with a client with their permission, which is important. You have to always make sure you get that, especially depending on the state that you live in. But I always tell clients I'm recording this because I can never read my own handwriting when I'm taking notes. True story. And I always tell them nothing will be used against them in a court of law. And no one ever has a problem with it. And it's true. It makes the conversation and the interviews much more comfortable because I know that it's being recorded. I don't have to worry about scrambling with my notes. I can think and pay more attention to the actual content of what's being talked about rather than, scribbling stuff. And I just don't have the mind for it. I just don't. So I love the record feature on Zoom. And like I said, I'm sure that there are other services out there that offer that, but you probably will need something like that. Here's a tip. I don't just record on Zoom. For wicked important calls, I just totally had a Peter Brady moment with my voice there. For really important calls and important interviews, I also do a backup interview device. So I often use the memo function on my phone to record the interview that's happening while Zoom is recording at the same time. I like redundancies that way. For some reason, Zoom poops out. I have a backup. It makes me feel better. So whatever. You don't necessarily have to do that if you're not, wacko like me, but I do me and you do you. And we're still talking about number one. This isn't going to be 5 minutes. Number two, Revcom. Again, there are many, I'm assuming, transcription services out there, but I really like Revcom. So what happens, I record my interview, I upload it to Revcom, and at the beginning, I was using their paid transcription where a human actually listened to the interview and transcribed it, word for word. They also have an artificial intelligence that just, it's artificial, it's intelligent, and it's actually pretty intelligent. And it will transcribe my interviews pretty accurately or accurately enough for my purposes. And that is what I've been using more often than not because it's a little bit cheaper. So when you do Rev.com and you have a human do it, I believe it's $1.25 a minute. If you do the AI, it's 25 cents a minute. As I'm recording this video in November of 2021. So again, check the rates. It might change depending on when you're watching this, but it's worth it. That way I have the transcription in front of me. So if I'm doing a long blog post or I'm doing a white paper, I can, just go to the parts I need, or if I'm doing a messaging project, it really is helpful to have a transcription. I remember way back in 2002, I would record interviews on my little tape recorder, which I still have, and then I would listen and transcribe as I was going along. That took a really long time and could get frustrating because I wasn't the fastest listen and type at the same type sort of person. So I love Rev.com. Again, you might find another service that you like. I've heard good things about Temi, T-E-M-I, and for the record, I'll be putting everything in the description as well as a longer blog post, so I will have links to all the things I'm talking about. But Revcom or something along those lines is always a good thing for a copywriter to use. What number was that? 2? Okay, number 3, you're going to need some sort of keyword tool, keyword research tool, especially if you're doing a lot of website copywriting, and as a freelance copywriter, you probably will. And back in the day, I used to bristle at having to do the keyword research because I just found it intimidating at times. But I will say that in today's landscape, it's expected that the writer brings search engine optimization chops to the table, not just being able to weave in keyword phrases to the copy, but to be able to do the research and to understand what the research is telling you and to choose the keyword phrases. And you know what? It does make sense, because if you're thinking about a content strategy and you're looking at the landscape of a client's business and you're getting to know the words that they use and the words that their customers use, it makes sense for you to do that first pass of research. It can't hurt to have an actual SEO specialist or someone who's really good with the numbers maybe take another look. But being a writer and developing that skill, and it is a skill you can develop, I've done it, is good. So you will need some keyword research tools. There are some really good free ones out there. I will link to those. Just in the last couple of years, I started paying for a service because I was doing more keyword research for clients in general, and I use SEMRush, which is, I think, right now kind of like the cream of the crop for SEO. I recommend their blog. I recommend just everything about it. Like, they keep improving the product. There's so much. It's an incredibly robust product, and it's not necessarily cheap, depending on your version, your definition of cheap, but it works for my budget. Maybe it's not what you need to do when you're first starting out. You probably could get by using the free keyword tools, but at some point, especially if you're doing more SEO copywriting, that becomes like a real big part of your business, consider investing in a tool like SEMRush. Number 3, right? Lettercount.com is another tool that I've been using for years. It's free. You just go to lettercount.com, and what it does is it tells you the character count of whatever you plug into the box, which is really helpful. So lettercount.com is my go-to to just quickly plug in my meta descriptions or my tweets or anything else that is restricted with a character count, and I use that to double check. That was number 4, I think, right? Okay, one more, and then I think I'm going to call it a day and see if we can actually cut this video down to be under 5 minutes to make, the boss happy. So Canva.com is a great tool. I believe they have a premium version, but the free version has a lot of great stuff. So if you need to design something, and you know what? I have to admit that sometimes writers have to wear a little bit of a design hat at times, and that might be intimidating. You might think, I'm just a writer. I kind of had that attitude in the beginning, but again, bringing some design chops to the table can be beneficial. So what's nice about Canva is it has preset templates. So if you have to do a client's, LinkedIn, for their company page, their LinkedIn banner, and you're supplying the copy, there's some preset templates that you can use to demonstrate what you're thinking, and then maybe you hand it off to a designer who takes it to the next level, or you can use it and it works perfectly great on LinkedIn. So they have preset templates for all the social media platforms. You can do all sorts of other things with it. It's an easy, intuitive tool. So that's another tool, another good go-to tool to keep in your copywriting toolbox. I am the Copy Bitch, and I produce lots of videos talking about my over 19 years. Can I say over 19 years? I think I can officially say over 19 years in copywriting land. I started in August of 2002. It's now November 2021. Do the math, people. So any of the things I was talking about tonight, you will find in the description below. And what do we say now, Stewie? Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.